Hi, it's Jared from Strong Roots Farm. We have been running our channel for several years now. I really got serious about YouTube about 6 months ago, maybe a year ago. And our goal for our channel has been helping people to get into farming or homesteading. But recently, within the last few months, I've seen some videos about homesteading being a lie. And so they talk about the different lies of homesteading, or modern homesteading is a lie. Becoming a small farmer is impossible. Heard a lot of negative things. And on the other side of that, I've seen start your homestead. It's easy. You quit your job and you live off the land and no bills. You're your own boss. Two very different sides of the spectrum there, which I think is very confusing. So in today's video, I want to go over these homesteading lies. I want to go over some of this stuff. We're here to help you. And maybe the way to help you is to let you know the truth about this, so you say it's not for you, or perhaps you want to get into it. We want to give you the truth on both sides of the story, give you the pros and cons, and go through these lies with you to help drop some of this confusion. So we're out doing some farm chores. Stick around with us. We'll go through them all with you. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you on this specific video, especially. Want you to know this is not coming from a place of anger. I'm not slamming any other channels. I just think that there's some confusion, and I'm going to give my experiences with this to help clarify all this for you, help give you the truth with this. And by that statement, I'm not saying other people are lying. There are some good videos with good points. Just want to make things clear for you and let you know my real world true experience. If this is your first video of ours, thanks for joining us. Please like and subscribe. To let you know where we're at, we're in Southern Ohio. We have 30 acres here. We lease another 21. This was our pigerator. We just cleaned it out. Pigs went to the butcher this weekend. We also have layers and meat birds and pigs and all the stuff on the farm. We are a farm because we raise agricultural products. When we were coming up with our name, instead of homesteading or farm, what do we choose? We chose Strong Roots Farm, mainly due to tax reasons. You can be called a homestead and declare farm taxes. We just chose to do that. There was really no people around at that time that were calling themselves homesteaders as small farmers. So 15, 20 years ago when we started doing this, we chose farm. And I say all that because that's really the first lie that I've seen, or people talk about homesteading lies, is that it's very expensive. Yes, if you want what we have today and you want it in your very first year, it'll cost you $1 million. With the 30 acres that we have around a $700,000 farm here in Ohio. We do own around $100,000 worth of equipment right now. We have $50,000 worth of cattle and other animals, got some new pigs in here. And we have built up this stuff over time. All of our gardening stuff, fabric, this stuff is expensive. Tools, I easily have $50,000 worth of tools, but it didn't come overnight. That stuff took many, many, many years. We didn't start with much though. When we came to the farm, we had a backyard chicken coop. I had probably a couple $1,000s worth of tools, basic wrenches, chainsaw, weeder. Nothing major. Didn't have any tractors, any farm equipment, cattle chutes, all the stuff. Didn't have any of that. I had experience, but I started with nothing. I was not able to start from my family farm. My family sold the farm. I went to the service, started with nothing. So people say it cannot be done, and I'm living proof that it can. Started with nothing. Now, we had a good job. So I'm a degreed engineer. My wife teaches school. Both of us work. Both of us worked, both of us started the farm. So it took a lot of income, it took a lot of time. We also flipped houses on the side to make money. But it can be done, it's a lot of work. And so I think that's the real truth, is that this lifestyle is a lot of work. Depending on how big you want to get, how much stuff you want to have. Do you want a 5-acre, small, off-the-grid homestead raising a couple things for yourself, garden, those types of things? Or do you want to start a real production farm like us where we sell products to make an income? That's really the vast difference. So it's a lot of hard work. It does take quite a bit of money to get started, but once you're in it, we have lower bills than our friends do because our mortgage is paid down. We have very little debt to this day. We raise all of our own meat, so we don't have any of that cost. Gardens and all the other things that come along save us a lot of money. And because we are at such a high production rate now as we've grown over this 15 years, we're able to make a little bit of profit every year off of the farm, kind of as our side hustle. Another lie I've seen is that homesteading's fake. There are no true homesteaders. Some people will quote the Homesteading Act. They'll talk about what homesteader really means. And then they'll say there's no such thing as those people anymore. Homesteading is dead. Yes, you can start a small farm, but there are no real homesteaders. And some of that is true depending on how you define homesteading. But to explain this, I'm going to give you an analogy of baseball. For instance, you want to be or like to play baseball. You want to be a baseball player. You have to invest some money. You need a glove and cleats and perhaps a bat. Or you may be able to borrow some of those things when you get started. You link up with a community of people who also like to play baseball, and you play baseball. By no way, shape, or form are you saying you're being recruited by the Yankees. That just doesn't make sense. But you are technically a baseball player. You play baseball. And that's what you're looking to do, to relax, to have fun, to have enjoyment, to have community. And you might even make a little bit of money at it with endorsements and TVs, shirts, and a YouTube channel about playing backyard baseball. Who knows? There are some ways to make money with baseball activities, training young kids or coaching, whatever it would be, you're involved with baseball. And so that's kind of how I feel about this homesteading thing. You raise your own food, you're getting a piece of land, you're trying to live off the land, you're trying to be self-sustaining, which we'll talk about, and you're technically a homesteader in your eyes. You're playing baseball. Now, are you the Homestead Act homesteader? Do you meet all of the criteria? Is this word being changed today in modern homesteading? Who cares? You are trying to homestead or be a small farmer. Don't let that be negative to you. This life is real. It can be real for you. There's a lot of negatives about it, and there's things that we'll talk about here in a second, but homesteading is a real life thing today. It does not need to be changed just because some of the culture, some of the lifestyle, some of the modern conveniences are coming in and changing what homesteading used to be. It's still baseball. Since we talked about self-sustaining, that's been another one of the lies that's come up in some of these videos. So let's talk about this. There is no such thing as 100% self-sustaining. I think that's a pretty good statement, or at least it's very rare. We are not 100% self-sustaining. So what does that mean? Well, it means this land, this farm, cannot 100% sustain our life. We still go to the grocery store for very little, but we still go because I want a banana or a pineapple or a lime every now and then. And those things are not grown on our farm. So therefore, there's outside inputs into our farm. We don't do everything for ourselves. So our grain for our pigs is raised by somebody else. Our mineral for our cow, we purchase for all of our cattle. So there are things that we still buy. We buy diesel fuel for our tractors. We have inputs which require an income. That income is provided for from the farm somewhat, even though we still have and maintain town jobs essentially. So that's our situation. Can you be 100% self-sustaining from the land? I'm not sure it's possible because there's so many things that it takes to be involved. Now, I guess I could eat grass-fed beef and potatoes and the lettuce that I grew and canned tomatoes, and that be the essential of my diet. I could get enough stuff, I could raise enough food to sustain my life. I don't have to do that, so I don't want to do that. Like I said, there are things in life that we want to enjoy. So is there somebody out there that is 100% self-sustaining? I'm not going to say no, but most people, and even back in the 40s and 20s, people needed outside sources of things. They needed to work together. They needed to, cowboys and Indians, somebody still had to make a gun, right? So there are inputs in whatever it would be that comes from off the farm that takes an income, or whether it's produced on the farm or off the farm. That's the truth about self-sustaining. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If you are under the belief that you can quit your job and move to a piece of land, and today you have a $2,000 a month budget for your food or groceries, and you will no longer need that $2,000 budget because the farm or homestead will provide all of that. So when you're budgeting this plan out, you're taking that $2,000 a month and saying, we're going to save that, so we'll be able to invest that. That's not true. And I've never found anybody that actually believes that, so I don't think people believe or are saying that. What amount of that? So let's just say 15 years ago, whatever it was, we had a $2,000 budget for our food, for our family of 5. I don't remember what the number was. We're using 2,000. Today, we produce about 50% of what we eat on our farm. We have a decent lifestyle because we have good, educated jobs. We make a good wage. So we indulge in things of the world or the culture because we have the funds to, and we have kids and we want to do that. Our kids play sports a little bit. We can go to a movie, maybe once a year. We can eat out. I ate out 4 times last year. I mean, we do these kind of things because we want to and we have the funds to. Do I have to do them? No, I could go without. But we indulge in some of those things. We buy fruit, the things that we can't grow. You get the point, I hope. And even with inflation, because of the farm, the homestead, our grocery bill is at least half of what our friends are. So they work normal jobs and live the normal cultured life in a subdivision. We spend about half of what they spend because of the amount that we raise. In fact, they come to me and they're giving me money to buy their meat. So I know what they're spending on beef and pork and chicken per year because they're buying it from us. So that is what you can expect, I think, within the first few years of homesteading, is that if you're raising your own meat, if you're raising your own eggs, those kind of things, but there's still a cost. You still have to buy the animals or buy the feed or whatever it would be. There's still a cost to get those. It's just less. You're trading your labor for a lower priced food. And that's where people struggle with. They realize that that budget of food went down, but they took all that money and they put it into feed and other things for those animals. And then they realize it's about a wash. It's about the same amount of money, so they give up. That's what we don't want for you here on our farm, here on our channel. We don't want to see that happen. I will tell you, tomatoes, making tomato sauce. The very first year you do this, you're going to buy seed, you're going to buy compost, probably some drip irrigation or fabric if you're really getting into this thing, raising your tomato plants. You spend a lot of hours weeding and pruning and seeding and all the stuff that goes along with raising tomatoes. Then you sauce them, then you can them, then you put them up. And you don't have the jars yet because you're just starting out, so you buy the jars, you buy the lids, you buy the pressure cooker, all the things that go into canning. Well, then you need a space to protect them and put them in your house. So there's more square footage that is now being used to store food. So there's all this that goes into it. And at the end of the year, you calculate all that stuff up and you're like, each jar cost us X, and we can buy organic, hunt, canned tomatoes for $1.50 a can. And sometimes that doesn't seem worth it to you. Year 1, it probably will not be. But year 2, you have animals, you start maybe making some of your own compost. You now reuse the jars that you used year 1. All you have to buy is the rings, the lid, right? You have the pressure cooker. If you were smart and you saved seeds back from your heirloom tomatoes, you now have the seed to start. Perhaps you buy a little bit of stuff, maybe some blood meal or maybe a little good compost. You're buying a little bit more trays. You're getting more into the gardening and raising a few more things. So you spend a little bit of money there. But as far as tomatoes and tomato sauce, you're getting better at it. You're buying a little bit more herbs because now you're going to make it into spaghetti sauce. Whatever the case would be, every year that cost gets less and less and less if you're preparing. If you plan for this ahead of time and seed and you take care of your stuff and you don't give up in the first 3 to 4 years. How long does it take to pay back? At least 5 years. I would say if you invest all this stuff in the beginning, the amount that you're going to save, at least 5 years, maybe longer. And if you make a bunch of mistakes, Could take longer than that. But in the long run, you know where your food's coming from, and there's multiple reasons besides money to raise your own food. But if we're just talking money, it's going to take you a little while to pay that stuff off. So understand that when you're budgeting and moving into a homestead or a small farm. The next lie, or whatever these guys are talking about in their video, would be community. They talk about how great, on one side of the spectrum, how great the homesteading, homeschooling community is. These people will come together with you and help you build your farm and your homestead, and it's a great community of people. On the other side, they'll say, none of my friends do this, everybody hates me now, nobody wants to come and work, and that's the spectrum. And the truth is somewhere in the middle. Will you gain quality friends if you become a part of a community? If you become a part, you have to put yourself out there. If you want friends, you have to be friendly. Yes, there are great friends in the homesteading and small farm community. There's also jerks, just like everywhere else. Yes, we lost friends. They didn't like block us on Facebook and write us hate mail. They just don't hang out with us as much anymore because we pretty much changed our lifestyle. We went from living in a community, in a subdivision, and being able to do whatever we wanted to do, to spending half our life working here on the farm. So our lifestyle changed, and it's kind of the same way when you grow up with a group of people and then one of them has kids. You're like, I don't have kids. I don't want to hang out with people with crying babies. And so you kind of separate until you get kids, and then you become friends back again. You were never not friends. You just didn't really do the same things because you weren't in the same stage of life. That is what I have experienced with farming and homesteading. Some of our friends that were our friends still say hi, they still call us friends, but we no longer hang out and go do stuff together because I'm always working. Or if they come out, they realize this is not the lifestyle for them. They don't like the smells. They don't like the secludedness way out here, away from the city, whatever the case would be. But you're not going to lose all your friends. It's just a different community. That's what we've experienced. There's a few things out there about getting started with grant money. And so we talked a little bit about money and how to get started and how much it costs. One side of the spectrum is impossible. Nobody can make this amount of money. Another thing that people are saying is, well, there's all these grants. There's all this help, all this government help. People will help you get started. There's your spectrum. Truth is somewhere in the middle. Will the government help you with things? There are some grants out there, whether it be fencing, whether it be buying a first tractor, whether it be starting a garden, whatever it would be, but you have to apply. It's a lot of work to do that, and then they're going to regulate and tell you what to do. So we have stayed away personally from every bit of government money. We have not taken the government's money to build anything on our farm. Some of the fence on this farm that we purchased after it was started, after some of the buildings were here and some of the fence was here, was built on a government, it's called an EQIP loan or grant, where they pay a third or share the cost of it, but it had to be built the way the government said, which in this case is very stupid. It's a very wasteful way to build fence. In my mind, the government takes money and then tells you to put a bunch more in it, and then they make you use a certain contractor, at least where I'm at, and they build a fence in a manner that is very wasteful with that money. Typical government programs. So you can use those, yes, but it is not a full help. It's not like you have 50 bucks in your checking account and you can apply for grants and now you're a farmer. Does not work that way. We've mentioned lifestyle. Let's talk about that. So on one side of the spectrum, people are saying this is a relaxing, peaceful lifestyle, and quit your job, move to the country, get out of the hustle and bustle, leave all that hardship behind, all the stress. Your stress will melt away on the farm. That's the picture that sometimes has been painted on one side of a spectrum. The other side is this life sucks. It's a lot of hard work. Everything goes wrong. No one can afford it. It's destroyed our marriage. Whatever it would be, it's hard, 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 right? There's your spectrum. Truth lies somewhere in between. So, is this lifestyle hard? Yes, at times. My friends who sit at baseball games and who watch TV and spend their Sundays watching college football or Saturdays watching college football and just live a leisure life with their engineering paycheck, they think I'm nuts because I go to a job and I come home and I work. Yesterday, I left at 5:30. I went in the house at 9:30. It's not a typical day for me, but it happens quite often. Other people think I'm crazy, but it's because how fast I want to move and how big we are. In the grand picture of farmers, I'm a teeny tiny guy. I'm a speck. This is a very small farm. 30 acres, leasing 21 more, making 51, and I've got a few other little 2, 3, 5 acres here and there for hay that we're leasing and using, but I'm a small farmer when it comes in the grand picture of things. But this is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. You can be much smaller and be a homesteader and not work as hard or spend as much money as we do. So does that mean because I'm so busy and I work a lot that this lifestyle is hectic? It can be. Does it mean it's peaceful or unpeaceful? It can be both. There can be days that are very frustrating and you're fighting the weather and an animal isn't acting appropriate and I need a t-shirt that says, I'm sorry for what I said when we were working cattle. It can be stressful, but there's also days that are very peaceful. I'll tell you, if I've had a rough day at work, there is nothing more peaceful for me than sitting on that gator in the pasture for 5 minutes, maybe 10. That's all about the minutes I can waste each day. But sitting in the pasture and watching my cattle, just taking in the clean air, hearing the birds, relaxing, watching my cattle. It takes me 5 to 10 minutes to refresh myself when I get home, and then I'm ready to go again. So what does that mean for you? If the hardest working job you've ever had was McDonald's, you might be in for an awakening about how hard farmers actually work. I don't think it's hard. I grew up in this lifestyle. I stay busy all the time. I'm very particular. My barns need to look a certain way. I keep my pens cleaned a certain way. I want equipment and animals. You can do less and have less work than we've talked about that. But this lifestyle is a life of constant work. But if you're a guy who gets up early and he's hustling and he works hard, then he goes to the gym for 2 hours because he's disciplined, and then he goes home and he has a side gig that he does, and he still has time to be a great dad and build a family and do all the other things, it's just changing your priorities. That's the kind of person you need to be if you're gonna come into this lifestyle and make it big, quick. That's what I mean. You can take the easy road and sit back and say, the grass will get cut tomorrow. You can only do that so often, in my opinion. But if you're a hustler, you can make it in this life. More importantly, you can probably thrive, because that's what this life is, a life of self-motivated people that are there for themselves as far as you want to see yourself succeed. Now, we give a lot, so we're not there just for ourselves, if you understand that. This life is about giving to others, helping others, providing for our family and ourselves and our food, but we share a lot, we sell a lot, we do a lot of those things. It's very rewarding because of that. Serving people is very rewarding, and that's really what you're doing here. The last slide I'm gonna talk about a little bit that I've seen is about a certain demographic of people, and that is, I don't want to say elderly, retiring people. So I've heard people say, this is impossible to do as a retirement gig. You cannot go back to the farm or decide to start a farm as an elderly person, 60 or older, with your retirement fund. This is not the way to retire. So there's two sides of that spectrum. Like, there are people that have done it and they're very happy and they love it. And there are a lot of people who have failed and didn't have enough years to make the dream come true, because it does take time. It does take years to build. Now, if your mentality is that you're not building it for you, you're building it for the next generation, and you're doing it with your kids and your grandkids, those are the people that I've seen succeed. Those are the people that I've seen thrive through their retirement doing this, are the people that are doing it for the next generation. If you're of age of retirement, not being disrespectful, and you want to do something like this, do it small. That's my advice to you. You can have a nice garden, you can get a cow or two, you can have 5, 10 acres, you have plenty of money if you've retired or have a pension or whatever the situation would be. But I will tell you, the joke between farmers is the quickest way to earn $1 million in farming is to start with 2. And that is the truth. So if you want to throw away your retirement fund and lose it and put yourself in a bind, if you do this wrong, that could happen. So I'll warn you against that. But if you're prepared and you know why you're doing it and you have help, meaning the next generation, and they're all bought in that this is the life they're going to do, you can be successful at this. Well, there you have it. Let's wrap this thing up. So this lifestyle, very rewarding. Is there a lot to learn? Absolutely. Is the education there like no other time in America? Yes, absolutely. Or anywhere for that matter. The YouTube, the books, the online, the education to become a farmer or a homesteader is there. You do have to choose who you listen to, but usually an accredited book is more reliable than some YouTuber who is spouting stuff like me and trying to get clicks for whatever the reason would be. You have to take that stuff and do your research and take most of that with a grain of salt. Now, we try to be very open and honest and straightforward here on our channel, and so this is my experience. Other people will have different experience, and I'd like you to leave that down in the comments. If you've quit, tell us why you quit. If you've struggled, tell us your major struggle. If you've been successful, tell us how long you've been doing it, and if you started with nothing. I'm interested in these stories from other people. It can be done. I see people doing it all the time. I talk to people that are doing it all the time, but sometimes people need reined in to reality. The main reason for this video, though, is to give you encouragement and try to shed the truth on it, to rein you into, okay, I'm getting confused, here's reality. So you need a good budget, you need some money up front. You can't start this with zero, in my opinion. There are videos that say that people do. Never seen that done and done right. It will take hard work. So if you're disabled, if you're elderly and have a bad back, you're gonna need some help. Can it be done from a wheelchair? Yes, because I have a friend who's doing it. He just needs help. He does things differently than I do because he's adapted and overcome. It does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of time. It does take years to be profitable and functional, to be more sustaining. Is it a rewarding lifestyle? 100%. Is it a trying lifestyle? 100%. Will it bring you and your kids and your wife closer? It can. Will it destroy your marriage and your family? It can. It's all about, are you guys committed and working together and making smart decisions and have a plan and all the things that goes in as you should be studying as you jump into this. It is a different lifestyle. Is it fake just for YouTube? No, at least I'm not. I mean, I have a real life, a real family. This is our real farm. We're here every day, and I have friends who watch my channel that know who I am and, you know, sometimes like me and sometimes don't. Or there are people fake on YouTube that are just doing this for clicks. They really don't have a homestead, or they have stuff but they make it look bigger. I don't know. I don't know any of those people. Is it possible? Yeah. In today's society, anything's possible, but and I wouldn't put it past anybody to do that. But I don't know these people. I know a lot of people in this. I know other YouTubers. I've seen a lot of channels. I've spotted things that I think that's for clicks. But I've also spotted things that, man, that's a great idea. That guy is, you know, hustling and getting it done, and he's truthful. And I see where he's coming from. Even though I may disagree with some YouTubers on some of their stuff or other people who are writing books, I disagree with Salatin sometimes. People who are amazing, like Salatin, I disagree with some of their stuff, but they are real people really getting it done. There you have it. That is definitely a different video for us, but I hope it helps you. So like and subscribe, come along. I'll try to help you with those things. If you need help with your homestead or farm and you have questions, comment down below. I'll make you a video. I'll send you an email. All my stuff's down in the description. Have at it. I'm here to help you. Thanks for watching.